Hello, dear colleagues, and thank you for joining our webinar. My name is Ekaterina Fedotova. I'm Product Marketing Manager for Kaspersky Industrial CyberSecurity, and today we would present the results of the total economic impact study which we conducted for Kaspersky Industrial CyberSecurity solution. So please welcome Kris Peterson, a Forrester consultant who will share all the details about this research.
Thank you, Katerina. As she said, I'm a consultant with Forrester's Total Economic Impact practice. It's really a pleasure to speak to you today about the study Forrester conducted regarding Kaspersky Industrial Cybersecurity for networks. Our agenda today will start off with an overview of what a total economic impact study or a TEI study entails. We'll jump into a summary of the study results. From there, we'll move on to discuss customer journeys. And then we'll dig a little deeper into the study results and close with some time for questions and answers. Total economic impact, or TEI, is a proprietary methodology that Forrester developed, and it goes beyond the traditional cost of ownership analyses or return on investment analysis. The benefits and costs, of course, are central, but TEI studies also incorporate a discussion of the potential strategic impact of technology solutions. Things like the flexibility gained for future initiatives, as well as consideration of the relevant risks that may impact the costs and benefits of the model, are also brought into play. In short, TEI is a proven, consistent, and repeatable methodology widely used to justify technology investments. For our project approach, we took a multi-step approach, starting with due diligence. We spoke to internal subject matter experts at Forrester, as well as internal stakeholders at Kaspersky, to understand the solution and value proposition from their perspectives. From there, we spoke to a current customer that is using an operational technology or OT solution provided by Kaspersky. We dig into their journey as a customer and distinguish the differences between their current operations and the state of their operations prior to deploying the KICS for Network solution. We hone in on benefits they have observed and how we might quantify those benefits. We then create a financial model based on the experience of the interviewed customer to convey the resulting financial analysis in the case study, as well as simplify comparisons to other organizations considering this sort of solution for their journey. After the model is complete, the case study is written, and then it is peer reviewed, client reviewed, and customer reviewed to ensure accuracy, quality, and reasonableness. The full case study will soon be available from the Kaspersky website and provides context around the customer journey and gives you a view of how the technology has made a difference at the interviewed organization. Let's move on to some of the results. Based on our analysis of the customer feedback and the quantified benefit, cost, risk, and flexibility factors, the organization in this study, over a 3-year period, accrued an ROI of 135%, $2.9 million in quantified benefits, and a net present value of $1.7 million. We'll get into more detail about these benefits and costs in later slides, but let's take a look at the customer journey and understand how these benefits came about. So we interviewed a decision maker at an energy producer that recently deployed KICS for networks. The organization had approximately 400 substations spread over a 70,000 square kilometer service area. This customer needed to replace their current OT network security as it was reaching the end of its usefulness and really needed to be upgraded or replaced. The interviewee noted that for his organization, incidents here are rare, but they could cause extreme consequences. The before state, prior to deploying KICS for networks, the organization relied on a mashup of disparate solutions that had been pieced together over the years to protect the network perimeter. This legacy approach was far from ideal, as it lacked any specialized tools for the OT network, and it had become clear that it was no longer adequate for the growing organization. As for pain points, the growth and changes over the years created a situation in which the organization no longer had clear documentation of their OT network. More importantly, the organization was very concerned about managing the tremendous risk of a potential OT breach. These pain points drove the investment in the Kix for Networks solution. The investment goals of the organization included reducing the risk of an OT breach, as well as leveraging the existing security information and event management, or SIM, system. The organization that we interviewed ended up showing 2 quantified benefit categories that we'll give it into more detail in the following slides. The largest benefit was that reduction of risk of a cybersecurity breach due to the deployment of the Kix for Network solution. This benefit covers various financial impacts that firms might face if they experience an OT breach. The second benefit is also related to reducing the risk of an OT breach, and in this case, captures the projected cost of replacing equipment that could be damaged in an OT breach. So the primary benefit here from an industrial enterprise is mitigating that potential impact of an OT breach. Breaches can result in not only shutting down production, but very costly remediation efforts to restore operations and reputation, including overtime work for employees. Successful OT breaches do not necessarily occur with any regularity at most organizations, and the data is quite hard to come by. But we utilize data from Kaspersky showing that the percentage of Kaspersky ICS computers that blocked malicious objects, as well as Forrester research on the impact of cybersecurity incidents. The Forrester survey shows that industrial or manufacturing respondents averaged 2.9 breaches in the prior 12 months. And with these breaches, 25% of the employees on average suffered 3.3 hours of downtime per breach. On average, the breaches experienced by the survey respondents cost $1.2 million each, and that cost can be attributed to remediation efforts and overtime work to restore operations, as well as things such as regulatory fines, the cost of notifying affected parties, lawsuits, compensating customers, additive audit and security compliance needs, lost revenues, lost customers, and brand equity. This does not include the cost of idled employees waiting for production to resume. That is added into the total for this benefit. Using that 2.9 breaches, Forrester assumed that just one of those breaches per year has the potential to shut down energy production. And avoiding that one shutdown is estimated to be worth $1.5 million per year, or a total risk-adjusted present value of this benefit for 3 years of $2.6 million. That benefit covers a wide variety of potential impacts to the organization, but does not include the cost of damaged equipment. That is covered by the second benefit category. The threat of equipment and facilities being damaged or destroyed was another compelling concern for the interviewed organization. Successful OT breaches at other organizations have resulted in destruction of equipment and facilities, and even injury to employees. The manager of infrastructure declared that damaging even one unit of our equipment is more expensive than Kix for Networks. He noted that the cost to replace damaged equipment would cost millions of dollars. To model this benefit, Forrester assumed that for the average 2.9 breaches per year that was reported by the survey respondents, one of these breaches again has the potential to shut down energy production. And to be conservative here, Forrester also assumed that that one breach capable of shutting down production has only a 5% chance, or 1 out of 20 chance, of causing equipment damage. The projected cost to replace the damaged equipment after converting the local currency to US dollars is $3.9 million. We discount that by that probability, that 5% probability, to calculate a present value of $339,000 over 3 years. In addition to the quantified benefits we just discussed, the interviewee also discussed an additional benefit that was not quantified in the study, but nevertheless still impactful to the organization. KICS for Networks can provide organizations with increased visibility and transparency for networks and production assets, as well as time savings in diagnosing any issues with operations. The manager of infrastructure noted, KICS helped us identify discrepancies between the new network project and the project documentation. Now the documentation corresponds exactly with what's actually built. Before KICS for Networks, he noted that the organization would have most likely discovered these discrepancies through accidents, which obviously is not the ideal way to discover these sort of gaps in your network. As for costs, the deployment of KICS for Networks servers and sensors varies greatly across organizations. Kaspersky informed Forrester that a single large industrial company usually needs 1 to 5 servers and 5 to 10 sensors. For the use case discussed here, Kaspersky provided a price quote for the requisite solution for the organization use case, totaling $1.2 million over 3 years. This includes the perpetual license, annual updates, including signature updates, detection rules, anti-APT updates, as well as customized updates. These costs also cover ongoing exclusive 24/7 support and expert analyst content. There was also some minimal time needed for training personnel and getting them familiar with the tools and features of KICS for Networks and optimizing the implementation for their organization. This cost totaled just over $30,000 for 3 years. Some other relevant facets of the study to mention are the flexibility and risk factors. As I mentioned earlier, leveraging the legacy SIM tools helps organizations make the most of prior investments. API integration and machine learning and the ability to scale up in the future with additional Kaspersky servers, sensors, and endpoint solutions provided flexibility to the organization as it continues to grow and evolve. Risks are factored into the quantification of benefits and costs to account for ways in which deployments and results might vary across organizations. Discounting benefits and inflating costs is one way in which the study could be considered conservative. Impact risks cover the possibility of organizations experiencing benefits lower than the organization in the study. These factors included the frequency of attempted breaches, the type of attempted breaches, the type of equipment and facilities, and the legal and regulatory enforcement of fines and compensatory payments. Implementation risks cover the possibility that the investment in KICS for Networks deviates from the expected requirements, resulting in costs higher than the composite organization. Risk factors here include the KICS components implemented and the complexity of the implementation, as well as the composition and experience of infrastructure and security personnel at the organization. In closing, these costs associated with the investment in a KICS for Networks solution are far outweighed by the benefits accrued by the organization. $2.9 million in net benefits versus a cost of $1.2 million results in a net present value of $1.7 million and a 3-year ROI of 135%. As I mentioned, the full TEI study will be available on the Kaspersky website. It goes into all the details about the calculations, and it also provides a framework in which you could estimate the total economic impact of these solutions on other organizations. That being said, I think we have some time for question and answer.